I'm curious. Did you ever think back as a kid, like, yeah, one day I'm gonna have a greatest hits album coming out?
No, I mean, you don't even want to think about it too much. Can you imagine just like telling yourself back then, like, yeah, dude, you know how you like music? You know how you love singing and like playing with your friends? One day you're going to be able to like get a collection of songs together and you're going to be able to start like legit call it a greatest hits. It's mind blowing. So what a nice thing to be able to say right now. It's great.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Innersleeve Music Podcast, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris, Joe Pacheco joining me on the line as always. What's going on, Joe?
Same old. Doing great. You?
Feeling good, man. We're back for episode number 124 of the podcast. We appreciate you guys checking in. Joined today by Scott Anderson of Finger 11, talking about their brand new Greatest Hits project, which is going to be really exciting. Make sure to go check in with Finger 11 and all of the links that we have available down below in the YouTube description. And that guest portion of the show is going to be coming right up. Singer Bebe Rexha is currently recovering after a violent incident at one of her live performances in New York City. Now, this happened this past Sunday night, and while she was performing on stage, Joe, it appears that somebody threw an iPhone on the stage and connected directly above her eye. This actually could have been quite serious.
Yeah, this is dumb. That's all I can say.
It's ridiculous. Now, why do you think people are in this trend right now of throwing phones at concerts? Because it just seems like such a bad idea all around.
I don't know, but just if you don't want your phone, just give it to me, man. Like, I'll sell it,
I'll
make
take
money.
it.
Like all your incriminating information is there on that phone, unless it's like a burner phone or something. But like, really? Like, I don't know. What do you hope to accomplish?
That's exactly what I'm wondering about this. Now, I have seen some people who have thrown phones up and the celebrity will take them and make a cute video, but I think that, maybe the people who've gotten away with that have overextended this. And here we can see Bebe Rexha. She posts a photo on her official Instagram saying, "I'm good." What a trooper, man. Give it a thumbs up with a pretty nasty, that's a pretty serious black eye. It looks like a cut, too.
3 stitches. She required 3 stitches. And like, okay, great, but man, you would have hit her. You could have blinded a person. You know what I mean? Like, it's
that's really serious. I think there's another photo too. If we swipe,
let's see this.
And we can take. Yeah, this is serious. Wow,
look at that, man. And we could watch this. We have a short little clip here where you actually see the phone. It happens really quick. So just I don't know, man. I know they're just like it. Just
don't blink,
and it comes. Yeah, don't blink, and it comes pretty damn high around this green light. So I don't know where this guy was sitting, but we'll watch this.
Oof. So hard to watch.
She went straight down, man. Like, she didn't know what hit her. But that pain just set in. And look at this girl. She's freaking out. What just happened here, I want to watch that again because it happens so fast, man. Right there.
She was given no chance to prepare for that. That's almost like a sucker shot because, you're doing it when a person doesn't expect it. I did read something too, Joe, that said that, and this is all hearsay at this point because I think we're still trying to figure out the details of who actually did this, but apparently he thought it would be funny at first. That's what, I was sort of seeing across the web is that he thought it would be funny at first. So, I don't know exactly what this person was thinking. This person has been identified as a 27-year-old male who has been taken into custody in connection with this incident.
Yeah, and I saw a TikTok video, which TikTok, I can't find it again, but it's like they basically said the person was caught and is going to be charged and stuff. So I'm hoping that this, will make the next moron, will give myself that liberty of saying that, a second of pause to think about, like, do I really want to get arrested and charged? I don't know how much you got charged for this. I don't know. I just find this like, okay, you don't like the music, or in this case, he thinks it's funny, but if you don't like the art, because I've seen Nickelback get a rock right to the head, the singer Chad Kroeger, right to the head while performing. Like, come on, man. Like, what's the point?
It's insane, and I know a lot of people too, some people, they just want to get close to the artist any way they can, right? They want to touch them in any way they can. So, they'll do that by any means, but this is definitely not the way to go about it. So shout out to Bebe Rexha for being, again, such a, trooper. She really, to even be able to post about this in a public way, it's not, I'm sure, easy to talk about. So big respect to her for continuing on. Rapper J. Cole is set to buy a piece of the NBA's Charlotte Hornets in the very near future. Now, this is cool news for hip-hop fans and basketball fans alike, and not necessarily a huge shock, Joe, because we've seen J. Cole in his own basketball league. I believe he went all the way to Scarborough, Ontario, to be in his own basketball league on the Shooting Stars. And now he has bought into the Charlotte Hornets. So it looks like this Friday this was announced. Michael Jordan, of course, is the current owner who's agreed to sell his majority stake in the team for a reported $3 billion. A light $3 billion, Joe.
Wow. Jesus.
I mean, this is probably a good move for Michael Jordan at this point in his career, because what does he really need, ownership for? I mean, at this point, it's kind of like selling your catalog, right? If you're a legacy artist.
Yeah, but this is, you have kids and stuff. This is generational wealth. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are going to be rich forever kind of thing. But I was shocked when I saw that selling his stake. His stake is $3 billion. Wow. Yeah,
I wonder what the whole thing is worth. You know what I mean? It's definitely huge. So it looks like the Hornets have officially released this statement. It says Hornets Sports and Entertainment announced today that the chairman, Michael Jordan, has reached an agreement to sell his majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets to a group led by Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall. As part of the transaction, Jordan will retain a minority ownership share of the team. The transaction is subject to the approval of the NBA Board of Governors. Now, my question, Joe, is what is this going to mean for J. Cole? And I think it's not going to mean anything negative, because when you look at this is only going to increase his status and probably even his net worth.
So the ownership group here, known as Buyers Group, consists of investors, Plotkin and Schnall, as you said, as well as North Carolina owner J. Cole. North Carolina. I said owner. My brain. So North Carolina's own J. Cole, country music singer Eric Church, and several local investors. It's just crazy, the amounts. I know we're not we're doing sports kind of thing, but Lionel Messi, right? Soccer, same thing. He just turned down $1.6 billion to go play in Miami. It's what the hell, man? These numbers.
It's insane. It's hard to wrap your mind around some of these numbers in sports. And the thing for me, Joe, is I always wonder, if you have millions of dollars like some of these guys, why not go out? If I did have that, I would be doing nothing but investing. Oh. And it's really good to see that a guy like J. Cole going and investing, because he could quadruple his money, and instead of going out and buying clothes or chains or, stupid stuff, right? So I think this is a good example for future generations in music as well.
Always, man. I won't name names, but I worked in a royalty collection company for a few years before, and one of the artists we had signed up, his first check was in the six figures and, 100-something thousand. The guy didn't even know it was there for him.
Wow.
So the advice we gave him was save this money, invest it, place it properly, or buy property, whatever it may be, but just don't go party, blow it, and thinking you're going to get another check again, because it doesn't always last. And I've seen friends of mine who have had record deals, and you think it's going to go forever, but no, and then they get dropped. So it's you never know what's coming. So this definitely the best thing to do is to invest your money, because it's just sitting there. It's just going to keep devaluing, right? So you always have to find ways to make your money work for you.
Exactly. I completely agree. It also says here, J. Cole is on a short list of rappers who have invested in pro sports teams. Jay-Z bought a minority stake in the New Jersey Nets in 2004. He sold his shares to this team to former NBA player Jason Kidd in 2013 after forming Rock Nation Sports. So he went on to his own sports league.
That's it. Yeah, and Will Smith, Jada Pink, they have minority in the 76ers. 2019, 2 Chainz bought the Atlanta Hawks. And
of course, we've heard of Snoop Dogg maybe going to the Senators, right? So we'll definitely take a look at that. So let us know what you think down below in the comments. This past week was another fun one over here at the Sound Mojo offices. I was out on another assignment at A Boogie Wit Da Hoodie, his official concert here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Now, I got to tell you, Joe, this is an artist who I haven't been overly familiar in my years. I mean, I've definitely been peripherally aware of him. I've heard some of his hits. I'm not sure if he's been a guy that's really been on your radar.
I was just going to say, not at all, man. I don't know. I guess I live under a rock, because I listen to a lot of music, just not maybe this kind of music, but I hear names of similar rappers, but I never, and at first, I'll admit, I thought, what kind of a name is that? What is that? And then the more I said it in my head, I'm like, it's actually a really cool name.
Yeah, it's a cool name. I think it takes a while to grow on you for sure.
Yeah.
It was cool to see this name though, because again, like I said, this is a name in hip hop that, people around my age, usually we were listening to this at 16, 17 years old, and he hasn't really had, some huge hits in those last couple of years. So going into this concert, I was kind of not sure what to expect, but as I arrived, I saw that the lineup was outside around the block. This place was completely sold out. It only fits about 5,500 people, but still a pretty decent amount of people. It's about half the size of an arena, right?
Really good.
Yeah, so I mean, he sold that place out. So that was the first surprising thing that I saw, was that people were waiting all around the block. People were so rowdy at this show, Joe, that before the opening act even came on, A Boogie's DJ had to come on stage and tell everybody to calm down, or else they might have to cancel the show. Have you ever seen that? Because I've never seen that.
I've never seen that. And somebody threw a phone at him, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there was definitely some phones involved. We'll get to that. I was worried, though. I was nervous that the show might not happen. It ended up happening. So the first artist who performed was Mariah the Scientist, of course, who is a singer out of Atlanta. Joe, I got to say, I wanted to give Mariah a good review here, but I just feel like her set was just completely lacking energy. She came on in sweatpants and a sweatshirt. She looked like she was just there for rehearsal. She didn't really have any sort of stage set or anything. And she sort of just walked back and forth and sang her songs. Most of the venue...
I was just going to ask you, what was like the crowd's reaction to that? Were they into what she was doing, or...?
Most of the crowd, honestly, was just chattering amongst themselves.
Okay.
And maybe we'll play some of the audio or something from our clips here that you guys are seeing now. But honestly, I do have to say, to the person who booked this tour, I don't think it was a good pairing, because Mariah the Scientist sings heartbreak R&B songs, and A Boogie sings fun party, I'm winning type of songs. So, I like Mariah the Scientist. Overall, I would have to give her set a 5 out of 10. I don't think it was really that good. Now, the crowd continued to escalate as A Boogie was getting closer and closer. And by the time he got on stage, Joe, the crowd was ravenous. They were going crazy. They wanted to see him live.
Okay.
And he came out, and he did not disappoint. He came out with massive energy. He had an awesome outfit on. You always want to see the rapper aesthetic, the chains. That's what the people want to see. So he came out and he gave the people what they wanted to see. Lots of smoke bombs, lots of different effects throughout this set. And, overall, I would say that if you are a fan of this type of music, to all of our listeners and viewers out there, I would highly recommend seeing A Boogie live. Like I said, Joe, he wasn't a guy who was really on my radar, but I think being in that position, it gave me a bit of a unique perspective to be won over. And watching this guy perform, watching the way he interacted with his crowd, he stopped a couple times to make sure people were okay throughout his set. He was talking to people. He was looking at individual folks. It's a big difference between that and a guy who just gets up and does the songs and leaves, right? Where you could actually tell he cares.
Yeah, and was he, had you seen this guy before perform?
Never seen him before.
But you've seen him on YouTube and stuff, but you never went to a show, right? So he delivered? He
definitely delivered, and the thing that I was talking about too with some people who were at the show was the fact that he seemed grateful to be there. Some guys seem to get jaded to the fact that they are famous and the fact that they've been doing this for many years. This guy seems like it's still his first day out. He's having a great time. He was smiling from ear to ear. And I'm sure as a concert goer for many years, you could tell the difference too when somebody's into it or not.
Yeah. I'm always impressed sometimes, these guys have, I know myself, when you're writing songs, when you're working out songs, then when you're recording them, then you're mixing them, so you've heard these songs thousands of times, or, potentially, and then play them for 20 years at every night, every show. So sometimes I'm impressed of the excitement they come out with still in the music. So it's definitely key. Because, you want to go there, I could just listen to your album, but I came to see you, right? So... yeah,
100%. I completely agree. One of the highlights of the night for me was the Juice WRLD tribute. This was really cool. They showed a photo of Juice WRLD up on the stage. We also got a Pop Smoke tribute, which was cool because A Boogie, of course, is from New York. I believe they were friends. So, it's always sad. I'm looking at this guy up there, Joe. I'm thinking, this guy's the same age as these two. He shouldn't have to be doing tributes to people his own age. So it was kind of sad, but it also made me thankful for the guys that we do have who keep their heads on their shoulders.
Yeah, it was. And like when you're saying, obviously the crowd was anticipating, they were getting excited and more rowdy. And so, how was it during the set? Like you said, it was ravenous, but then did it calm down and like?
Honestly, he kept them going the whole show.
Awesome.
And that was the good thing about it. You know, I've seen some guys who, again, don't even acknowledge the crowd. 5-10 songs in, maybe they'll say it's really great to be here near the end. You know, he was just going in.
Yeah, I think about that often because, like, you know, you have to. Like, I know in the metal kind of community, it's like, you know, we're here to play our songs, a couple of words, some bands, and some people really like to talk to the audience. So it's like, it's not everybody who's that comfortable just like talking to an entire audience.
Yeah.
How long was the show for? How long did he perform?
He performed for about an hour and I would say about an hour and a half.
Okay,
Yeah, he
so
did
like a normal. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a pretty normal standard set. He did all of his main hits, and his main hit, Drowning, he performed it twice at the end. So, you know, that was cool for it, because that's obviously the song I think that sold a lot of tickets. And again, I hate when a band or an artist has a distaste towards their own biggest song. It's like, that's why a lot of people are here. You should be happy you wrote that song. And he seemed very happy he wrote that song.
Well, yeah, good for him. But yeah, I know, because people seem to forget, and you know, as artists, I mean, sometimes forget that like once you put the songs out there, people live with them. They become people's lives and stories and feelings, and you know, so
100%, the soundtrack to our lives. But overall, I would say that this show was good. It wasn't a phenomenal show. It was a little bit rough around the edges, and I feel like the pairing of Mariah the Scientist with A Boogie is not good. To be completely honest, it doesn't mesh very well. But if you're a fan of both of these artists separately, I still think it would be really good for you. I'll give this show a 7.5 out of 10. That's going to be my official rating on this one. And if you guys want to see more exclusive footage that you didn't get to see in this video, make sure to go to our Sound Mojo YouTube channel or our social media pages for my short review in under 60 seconds of this entire event. Have you ever seen A Boogie live in concert? Would you like to go see him? Let us know down below in the comments. Jumping over to the Sound Mojo community tab, of course, this is the spot on our YouTube page where we post different questions, polls, and versus battles to see what our listeners are listening to, other than us, of course. And here we ask Metallica versus Megadeth.
Our audience picked 66% for Metallica and 34% for Megadeth.
I feel like this was unavoidable, Joe. I mean, it's always going to be Metallica because of their mainstream appeal, no?
Yeah, I would agree. And I definitely voted Metallica because, you know, for those first 4 albums, they changed my life. So did Megadeth too. Like, I was a big Megadeth fan, you know, but just edged out song-wise at the time, you know. And the later half of their career, they blew up even bigger, but I was just less interested in that stuff. And I actually preferred Megadeth moving forward, like Countdown to Extinction onward. I mean, Rust in Peace is still their magnum opus to me, but yeah. And like, I'm not surprised, but it, you know, it makes sense, the percentage. What do you think?
I think it definitely makes sense. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around what the exact, you know, what's the tipping point? Is it the fact that Dave Mustaine came from Metallica? So maybe we almost see that there's no Megadeth without Metallica?
Yeah, exactly. And you probably no Metallica without Dave too, because I mean, you have to have those guys in the band. But I mean, obviously it was the Lars and James show kind of thing, or especially at the beginning. I mean, like Cliff Burton. That's all I gotta say, Cliff Burton. You know, but
it's a tough matchup, man. I would say that Megadeth, when it comes to over time, I think Megadeth has aged like fine wine. That's the one thing I would say. Like, I almost think they may have aged better than Metallica.
I think so, but I don't know. It's subjective, right? Because like Metallica playing stadiums, man, you know, like, and look at this tour that's happening now, right? Like, I mean, you can't even compare. Metallica's the way I see it is Metallica's at like a Pink Floyd level, whereas Megadeth is doing great. You know what I mean? Like, they're just still kicking ass, doing great. So, but I mean, not to take away from anything, but let's check out some of the comments, because I knew this was gonna stir up a couple of things. So obviously Megadeth forever by Willie J. Chuck Weatherman 3426 says, more fun to listen to, cooler song structures, better vocals. Megadeth is technically more proficient, which as a guitar player I love, but I much prefer to listen to Metallica 9 times out of 10.
That's a good analysis.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I mean, Kirk is Kirk, man. You know, like I find, like, again, same thing with Metallica. I find you have Kirk, the first 4 albums, which I thought was really good. and then you have Kirk Wawa and afterwards, right? Like everybody
Right.
makes fun of him for using the Wawa and all that stuff. You know, and then it's like Megadeth. That was my point. It's like Megadeth with fucking Marty Friedman, and then like Chris Broderick, and now what's his name again? Kiko. Right?
Kiko, yeah.
Like amazing, because Kiko, I flipped out on him in the '90s with his Brazilian prog metal band, and then like when I saw he was in Megadeth, even better.
Even better. That's cool that you were a fan of both those guys, by the way, Marty and Kiko, before Megadeth.
Yeah, it's exactly, and their personal projects, and then you see them go up. You know, it's like they leveled up, you know, and they go to a bigger band, so they have a wider exposure and more people, you know. Because like I mean, every time you search up Megadeth or Marty Friedman, like what do you get? You get Tornado of Souls. Everybody wants to hear that solo, right? Everybody wants to do that solo. It's crazy. Let's see who else we got here. Pedro van der Broek, 1806. Well, both are great to listen to, but vocals versus technicality, I'd pick Metallica. But once again, they're both great and in their own way. Let's see what else we have. Metallica, undeniably great. I always found Mustaine's songwriting to be a bit more interesting, albeit sometimes incredibly corny lyrically.
I would agree to a degree, but you know.
Yeah, I've been using that line, military intelligence, since the Hangar 18 days. Like, I just love
Watch
that.
him become a
oxymoron.
god.
Yeah, exactly. Panlo Jo451. I really suck with these names. Megadeth is the best thrash metal band. Megadeth is literally better in every respect. I don't know what this person was writing. Great, whatever. Megadeth. So it's funny because like, seems like a lot of the Megadeth fans felt the need to go and add more to their
compensate
vote.
for the vote. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like which is nothing wrong. That's beautiful. Thank you very much for engaging and commenting, because I want to know, you know, like I love to know what our audience listens to, you know, and it's like, it's so diverse, you know, like we have Metallica, Megadeth fans, and we have also all the hip hop stuff. So it's very interesting.
It's amazing. It looks like Megadeth takes the cake in the comments, but Metallica won the vote.
We got this guy.
Testament.
Yeah. Ivan Fan 8694, and I even asked him, hey, who should we put Testament up against? You know, so stay tuned. There is going to be a Testament versus another big four.
We got everybody covered, Ivan. Trust us.
Yeah. And so that's it. Like, it's definitely interesting. I was not surprised, obviously, with the results. You know, popularity wins. In most cases.
So you vote Metallica?
Yeah, I voted Metallica just because they changed my life. When I heard, like, I know it's cliche to say, but like I was in the hair metal days when I was a kid growing up. Nothing wrong with that. Still love like those old bands and stuff. But like when I heard Battery, you know, from Master of Puppet, and then I saw Master of Puppet, but Battery, since it's the opener, you hear a classical guitar, and then like, wow, that's different. All right, cool. And then you hear this crazy drum beat, which I wasn't, you know, thrash to me at the time was brand new. So it's like, it's very weird to hear like the drums so fast, you know. But then I heard Master of Puppets, some cool riffs, the super beautiful melodic middle section, and then harmonizing solos. So it like brought me right away to Iron Maiden, and I was like, wow, this song changed my life. So yeah, definitely I'd pick Metallica for that reason alone.
I would definitely have to go with Metallica as well, just because I have spent more time listening to them in my life. I've spent a really good chunk listening to Megadeth too, and they were one of my favorite bands, I think, in high school. Like, because I started going back and just, you know, and it's different too when you're not waiting for each record to come out. I have the whole back catalog of each band, so I was like, you know, I could just binge. So I would get on these mad tears, but Metallica will take it by just a hair for me. I have seen both live, so of course, if you didn't get to comment on this one or get to vote, we want to know what you guys think. Let us know down below in the comments, Metallica or Megadeth. Now it's time to hop into the guest portion of today's show. It was awesome to be joined by Scott Anderson, of course, the lead singer of Finger 11, talking about their greatest hits project, which is going to be dropping very, very soon. Make sure to hit the link down below in the description to go and check it out. And I gotta say, Joe, this was a cool conversation for me because growing up in Canada, Finger 11 dominated the radio waves when I was, you know, in the car at any given moment. You know, kind of a blast from the past, thinking about hearing this dude's voice in the car every day on the radio.
Yeah, and like exactly. They've had some like really big hits in Canada. They're always on the radio. You know, like Damn, 3 Days Grace. Like there's a couple of them, but but Interesting, man. Like, I love the fact that his reaction when I asked him, did you ever think when you were a kid playing guitar, singing, whatever you were doing, that you one day you'd have to be picking out a greatest hits,
Yeah,
So I
he's
love
like,
this
no.
reaction. He was like totally surprised, laughing. Of course not, man. Like, it's a dream, man. It's really like even one hit is something, like
Yeah.
if people make fun of one hit wonders. I'd like to be
You're
a
lucky to
one-hit
get
wonder.
one hit. It's so true.
I'd like to be a Rick Astley though, one hit wonder, because
Yeah.
it lasts forever, man. And then you have multiple like career waves.
He is never going to give that up, I think it's safe to say. All right, let's get out of here before there's more bad dad jokes. And let's go listen to our chat with Scott Anderson.
It's me and you. It's you and I together, right? It's me and you. It's you and I together, right?
Scott, thank you for taking the time to join us on the Innersleeve Music Podcast.
No problem at all.
Awesome. We appreciate you jumping on. So, of course, Finger 11, the new video, Together Right. And of course, this is coming off the Greatest Hits project, which is going to be available everywhere as people see this now. Maybe talk to us a little bit about the new project and the new single, Together Right.
Well, we've had this song in our back pocket for a little while, and it was about time to release it. And we had never also never released a Greatest Hits, so it was like, okay, look, let's get this out. Like we've been working on this song for a few different sessions, and it's always a difficult thing to kind of break open a song and go like, hey, what can we improve? Because I always think we're going to break it. I always think it's going to get worse.
Yep.
But this
Instead
one
of get better.
Right. You always wanted to get better, but then you start tinkering, and sometimes it's a house of cards.
Yeah.
But we worked on it until everybody was happy and said, okay, look, I think we're all happy, right? So the quickest way to release it was to kind of say, well, look, we've always talked about releasing a Greatest Hits. Let's just do both. Like, let's attach it to that project. So, here we are. It was an idea that we had a while ago, and it's finally a reality. So it's nice when these things work out.
I'm curious, did you ever think back as a kid, like, yeah, one day I'm going to have a Greatest Hits album coming out?
No, I mean, you don't even want to think about it too much. Can you imagine just like telling yourself back then, like, yeah, dude, you know how you like music? You know how you love singing and like playing with your friends? One day you're going to be able to like get a collection of songs together, and you're going to be able to start like legit call it a Greatest Hits. It's mind blowing. So what a nice thing to be able to say right now. It's great.
Was that a big factor in the beginning, sort of having to disconnect from that end goal? Because obviously everybody wants the awards and, the acclaim and et cetera. But, I think a lot of people focus on that too early, and maybe that holds them back.
Yep. I think that's the wrong thing to focus on. The romantic thing to focus on is just try to make cool music with your friends and try to make that as good as possible. That's it. And then if it's not, if you just keep doing that, then the trends will come and go. And every so often you'll get some attention, and that will be great because that will allow you to make more music with your friends. Like that's what you should really be focusing on. If you're like, oh, okay, I know how to get an award or get rich or whatever. It's like, it's not going to work out like you think.
And there's plenty enough for that too. It's so saturated, right? So it's good when you actually get people who are so authentic with it. I mean, maybe looking back, speaking of that time and the earlier times for the group, what were sort of some of the memories that came up looking back at 2 decades worth of music for the band?
Well, you know what? It's funny. There's a lot of videos that I forgot about, and videos are tough because like your song is will forever be attached to whatever visual, you get, sometimes years and months to make the music, and then you get about 2 to 3 days to make the video. Based on, like an outsider collaborating with you in the band. So like we always got a little precious, and sometimes the videos work out and sometimes they don't. But it was funny to just think back to all the videos. You know, we did a video like in a big ice hotel, which is exactly, if you picture just a big like house made of ice with like animal pelts on blocks, you know, that was that was what it was. And it was a good backdrop for a video, I will say. Like, I would never vacation there, but it was neat to see. So yeah, those were cool memories. And you know, some of the albums are all I'm a little separated from some of the songs just because like they're really angst filled, or like they were very time and place, right? Like that's the nature of songwriting. But it's to get some distance from it and go like, oh, okay, that's still a good song. I don't feel that way. I don't feel necessarily connected with that sentiment anymore, but there it is, you know?
Are there any, like, you know, with today's climate and everybody being super sensitive, like, is there any like lyrics that you're like, damn, I wish I wouldn't have written that, or stuff like that? Because I've heard like Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, sometimes when he's singing stuff, he's like, oh, damn, you know, like it doesn't work today with today's audience, you know?
Well, I think it's within the realm of like a concert or listening. There's not too many. I mean, there's some songs where I feel like, oh man, maybe I should have like worked a little harder. Maybe I should have found a better word there, you know. But I don't. I haven't had any. I mean, I guess I can go back and listen, but you know, like Paralyzer is kind of a, you know, it's kind of a horny song, I guess, in a weird way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like
it's got that energy to it.
Right. It's got that. But you know, that's that song is kind of that's its own monster. But I don't think it's to kind of go. I mean, I would love to remake, you know, a record or two just for so many different reasons. But I think it's a can of worms. You know, it's more best to just kind of go, all right, well, those songs represent times and places, and I don't know if I necessarily want to mess with them.
Well, I'm not paralyzed, but I seem to be struck by you. I wanna make you move because you stand still.
Yeah, speaking on a song like Paralyzer, you know, you mentioned it becoming its own sort of monster and such a big hit. And obviously, you know, as a, you know, 24-year-old Canadian over here, that song was a big part of my, you know, growing up, you know, hearing it on the radio constantly, being witness to that. You know, a song like that, when it has been played so much, obviously in you guys' catalog, do you have to disconnect from it? Do you love it more as time goes on? Do you get sick of playing a hit like that? Like, what's your relationship with that sort of song?
When it comes to my music, I typically don't listen. I usually I'm pretty sick of it when it's like, okay, we've written it, we've labored in the studio for weeks and weeks and weeks. I kind of like, all right, that process is great. I don't necessarily like to put it on. But having said that, it's if you know, playing an older song live or playing a hit live is incredibly invigorating. I don't get sick of singing it. But there's a big difference between like listening and singing and performing it and having a crowd like really, really enjoy the moment. You know, I'm still into that. You know, when it comes on the set list, I'm not like, you know, there's not too many songs I feel, you know, that there's always a sense of dread if like maybe my voice isn't working 100%. It's like, okay, I gotta get through this song. Let's hope that
You point the mic to the crowd, maybe, you know.
You do it. You got it.
Yeah. Can't hear you. Yeah.
All the rock and roll cliches are absolutely. I'm just ticking them off one by one, man.
Part of the job, man. Part of the job. Mm-hmm. I love it though. So it's sort of it gets a new life with every show is sort of what it sounds like based on the crowd and really what they're feeding you, and it doesn't become monotonous at that point.
We also get you'll get people that will mention one song or another to you, and they'll tell you what that song means to you, or like what they were going through and how it helped them, and that gives me a whole new perspective on the song as well. That's a really cool thing. Like, I know what that feels like. Like, you know, there's songs that I know where I'm not really sure why or how, you know, what the song is really about, but I can picture 15-year-old me, you know, thinking there was nothing more important than this song or this album, you know, so it's great.
Definitely that unique experience for each listener. So, back to the latest video for Together Right. Looking at this video, man, the production value, it's sort of reminiscent of like a TV show or sort of like a Netflix film. Maybe talk to us about how this video came together and what the inspiration was for the visuals itself.
Well, James Black, the guitarist for the band, does the heavy lifting when it comes to the visual arts of the band. He takes care of a lot of the, if not all of the artwork. He had this really basic idea for a dance, and then he collaborated with a choreographer, and then we found a really cool location, and then they talked to a director with trying to incorporate themes of like conformity and sort of busting out of that conformity, and and then also have the band play in the same performance space. So it's like, okay, again, like I was more stoked about this video than usual because James was so hands-on. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to trust the name, and hopefully it's all going to work out. But it was I was anticipating it, and the day of the video, it was really, really cold. I think we did it back in March, and it was unseasonably cold. And we it's basically this abandoned Stelco building in Hamilton, Ontario, and wow. There's no hydro, no water. The floors were all, if you look at the video, they're all sort of coming apart in a really interesting way. Like there's sort of like these giant bubbles of a floor. It's like they were all wavy. I don't know how they had to find a spot for all the dancers to dance safely.
Yeah. But some pre-testing.
Yeah, there it was. But James had mentioned that we were supposed to like do a day. James was like, "Okay, I've come up with a really basic dance. Like we'll be able to do it. Don't worry." And I get there, and the dancers are already doing their takes. And if you watch the video, they're contorting their bodies in these insane ways. And I just look at them and I'm like, "Wait, where are we? Is it our turn next? Like, are we supposed to do that?" Like, and so I just sort of took James aside. I was like, "Hey man, like what's the deal here?" He's like, "Oh yeah. We're not dancing. We're just going to perform." So I forgot to tell you, like, because everything flashed through my head. I was like, "Man, do I have to act like a professional dancer today? Like I can't, that's not something you can pretend."
No, that's definitely take some practice.
Yeah.
So how long did that video take to shoot? It sounds like it was really intricate.
Yeah. Well, with videos, I think the call time was somewhere around like 6 a.m. till I think it was 6 p.m. I think it was maybe like a 12-hour shoot or maybe a little bit, maybe 10.
Wow.
And you always hope that they wrap up. You always hope like, oh, we got the shot, but that's never the case for videos. It's like you use every single minute that you can. And I gotta think the director was happy with how it all went down. But it was mostly the video, the dancers and all those setups took about 3/4 of the day. And then at the end, we shot the band. And that was kind of painless because at that point, it was just more like, other than like standing around and like waiting your turn, it was nice to kind of, we hadn't done a video in a long time. And it was like, hey, okay, this is it felt like it was going to turn out. You never really know.
Yeah.
But watching the dancers, I was like, oh, we don't even need to be in this video. We do not. This is a cool, they're great. It was, I'm glad it worked out because if it turned out to be a garbage video, I'd be like, it was so fucking cold. Like it's just, we suffered for our art, at least, for one day.
Yeah.
At least it was worth it, right? Well, that's pretty good though. Still, I mean, a day is definitely pretty good, and the quality that you guys got from it was definitely huge. In terms of having this song, are there many songs like this that you guys sort of have in the vault that maybe you haven't released yet, or was this sort of a unique thing for the group?
I think honestly, there's many, many songs that, like we sort of alluded to earlier, where you got to break them open because that there's parts that need to be polished or, better in some sort of subjective way. But there's about 4 songs that are worth getting excited about, and then a bunch more that just need a little more attention. So there's a few that are very, very, very close to the end that are exciting, and then we've just gotta get the other songs to that point. So it's nice. So there's some stuff to follow up with, but now we're getting busier because this song's doing well. So it's this great, now we have a brand new puzzle to solve and, less time to do it. So it's a high class problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. So, I mean, do you think that we could expect another EP after this or something along those lines? Or is it going to be album season after Greatest Hits?
That's the main discussion. We talk about that all the time. And personally, I like the EP idea only because it gets music to everybody faster. And then eventually, if you want, then you can put an album together. But we all grew up buying albums, like tapes, vinyl, CD, that experience of sitting down and, from beginning to end. That's, the romantic way to, that's how we grew up listening. And it's like, there is nothing cooler than that. However, we're working at a pace that's not within the how modern society makes music. So, if we can sort of light a fire and get music out faster, we should do that.
Are you guys supporting this with a tour, the Greatest Hits?
We've got a bunch of dates together, and then we've got there's a lot in Canada, there's some in the States, and I think next year will be even busier. But as far as I can't name the dates off the top of my head, but I'm not really, there's a lot of August, September, and November, but so we're supporting it with a lot of live shows, but not an official tour, I guess. We could make a cool shirt up and then say, hey, this is our official tour.
There you go. It's a tour. Do you prefer doing one-off shows like that, or do you prefer doing a quote unquote official tour? Because you're still getting the job done either way, but I'm sure there's minor differences.
It's nice to sort of be in that mode. It's nice to kind of be on a tour and if the routing is good, then you can really dial in. However, it's also fun to do the Rolling Stones, fly in on a weekend and then fly back home, we all have families now. And so it's harder to leave home, but there's nothing like playing music with your friends either. So it's hard. It's great. It's tough, we played this past weekend and it's okay, I do remember how to do this and I love this. So, it's great. It still feels like the way it always did for us, ever since we were 15. I guess I'll take both. I'll take whatever you got. Anybody who wants to come see me play, I'll be there.
Welcome, my son. Welcome to the machine.
So in terms of, narrowing it down for the songs that you guys have on this new record, how did you guys narrow it down to the cover as well to be out with the new single? Because you guys did a previously unreleased cover of Pink Floyd's Welcome to the Machine. Maybe talk to us about that.
Welcome to the Machine was, Pink Floyd is near and dear to our hearts, obviously. But we had tried to cover that song years before. We had a session in this really cool studio. It was like a big barn. Vibe was awesome. We had, I want to say 1 or 2 days to just knock this song out. And the session went fine. The session was fine, but the song didn't get there. No kidding. You're trying to cover Pink Floyd. That's okay. It didn't work out.
It's tough for anybody, right?
Right. So, we didn't do anything with that session. We're okay, well, forget it. And then a couple years went by. I think it was Rick's idea. We had some time in another studio. He's like, yeah, okay, we need to finish these ideas, but we want to take another crack at Welcome to the Machine. And so we did, and we were much happier with that session. But there was really no home for it, and it's kind of gone unreleased, and it was a staple in our live show for a couple tours, just for fun. I think we would open with it sometimes, which is thinking back on it, it's a big swing. It's a neat vibe.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
We decided, okay, well, technically that is a hit. Like, we didn't make it a hit, but maybe we can put it on our greatest hits. So with Together Right and Machine, and then we've got I think 10 or 11 actual hits on that on our record. We thought, okay, well, we can hopefully fans will enjoy this version of it, because they've heard a live version of it from us before, and it's it's the closest you're gonna get to like walking in Pink Floyd shoes. It's just such a, it's basically it's a really nice, it's a really self-indulgent thing, and the band does that from time to time. We'll just try to celebrate music that we love. This version we're pretty proud of, so we decided to put it on the greatest hits.
If I may ask, like, what separated this one from the last version?
Well, I remember the vocal take wasn't super good. I think James was happier with his guitars on this one. And I forget, it was like, well, we can't. I think we had a little more control over the second version. It was basically just us tweaking knobs for like 3 or 4 days. And I just did the vocals on my own, and that was fun. There's different producers where there's just different comfort levels. And I knew, sometimes I don't exactly know how to get what I want. But the further on I go, it's like, okay, I'm not really intimidated by the studio as much anymore. And if my vocals are working right, then I'll be able to get there. But it's been so long since I actually heard that barn take that I don't remember. But nobody was going to bat for it. So it's like, there's something wrong. Well,
Right.
I wonder, because it'll either sound better or worse, over time. So I should sort of dig it up and listen to it again. But it was a project where it's like, okay, well, we should start over. That was the state of it. So I can't imagine it's gold.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's got to be tough to like put in all that effort and then finally decide like, yeah, no, we'll not put this one on an album or release it.
A tough decision to make, but that's an important one, especially with songs, like if there's songs that I love the lyrics to, but maybe the music didn't get there, or so they sit on a shelf, and I'm like, man, okay, I understand, like we should try to revisit that, and it's like there's just different, like I care more about the lyrics than, let's say, a bass line, but they're all so important. So there's the democracy within the band, so everything's got to be right. So it can be difficult, but it's like I do understand where it's like, hey, let's scrap it or try to make it better, but for now you got to leave it alone. It doesn't have a spot on the record. It's tough.
Yeah.
No doubt. In terms of the covers, how do you guys tackle making it your own version of a song while also honoring the original version?
There's times where it's like, okay, let's just try this on. I don't know if we tend not to stray too far from like the original. But I think it's just mostly, it's got to be something that I'm comfortable with singing, whether like in my my vocal range and like whatever the source material is. There was one time we wanted to do a Tori Amos song. We rehearsed it as a song called Precious Things. And I love Tori Amos, and I was obsessed with the first couple records. But we were rehearsing it. I'm like, this is not an authentic experience to me. This is kind of sacred ground. I can't do this. It certainly doesn't feel right singing this. So we're going to leave this alone. As much as I wanted to sort of pay respect to the source material. It's like, this is the best thing I can do is maybe just move on and just enjoy her work.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
It is like we've done Bad Religion, we've done Built to Spill, we've done Greatly Buffalo, gosh, and then we've done Sabbath. So we have a good time, but it's, we're at the mercy of like what I can do vocally, and then try to make it work, try to make everything else fit in.
I love that. So in terms of visuals or any new things like that surrounding for this project, can we expect any new visuals, or what do we have to look forward to?
Well, James is always working on visuals. I mean, we're trying to finalize some, like, this is the newest thing, is trying to figure out what the new shirts are going to look like, and that's a fun, exciting idea. That's a problem we haven't had to consider for quite a while, and that's an exciting endeavor. And Jay always surprises the band with cool stuff, so there's James is always thinking visually as well as musically, and I just get to sit back and take a look and go, oh man, yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
So there's some really nice creative stuff going on right now and being released. It's not like we ever stopped. It's just that we've been busy with families and everybody took a big long break. But now that some of the stuff that we're working on is actually being released, so it's a good feeling.
Awesome, man. I love that. Well, the brand new record is going to be Greatest Hits, available everywhere as people are seeing and hearing this. Make sure to click the link down below for everything Finger 11. And we appreciate you taking the time, Scott. Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
It's me and you. It's you and I together, right? It's me and you. It's you and I together, right?
Huge shout out to Scott Anderson from Finger 11 for joining us on episode number 124 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. Really cool guy, definitely a guy who is passionate about his music. I know the new visuals it seems like a lot of fun for them. And this Greatest Hits is definitely, I think it's appropriate right now for Finger 11 after 2 decades.
Yeah, I can't even believe it's been 2 decades already.
I know.
But yeah, very cool for them. Super happy to see that they have a Greatest Hits. I really enjoyed this new song, Together Right. Super catchy, cool riff, simple. And the video is pretty interesting, like with the whole choreography thing. What'd you think about it?
I think it was incredible. Like I said in the show, it reminded me of some sort of like Netflix or HBO special. It was like a television or movie type of thing, man. And it looks so slick. I
see why. Also, the jumpsuits, maybe I was thinking, like, what's that big Netflix?
It's like Squid Game or something like that. It was, it definitely gave me Squid Game vibes.
Yeah. I found it interesting when he was like, because I'm in the same boat as Scott, where it's like, wait, I got to dance? I got to do moves like that? Like, and it's cold and you're not rehearsed. Like, I'd be panicking too. And it's like, no, we just got to do play your instruments. Seriously. And that's it. But no, very cool. Good work, man, on these guys. Like, proud of them that they have, man, that you can say, I have a Greatest Hits album, man. That's amazing. That's a accomplishment.
It's definitely huge. And it's great to see a Canadian band being acknowledged. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are Canadian legends, in my opinion. So I feel like it's just amazing to see the career tenure of a band that's able to keep it going for this long and jump back into the limelight. Of course, if you guys want to check in with Finger 11, they got some tour dates coming up, as Scott said, and of course the Greatest Hits album and the video for Together Right. We have all the links you guys need down below in the description of the Sound Mojo YouTube channel right here on this video. And thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 124 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. If you guys want to connect with us more, make sure to hit that subscribe on the Sound Mojo YouTube. We're on social media at Sound Mojo. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Come say hello. We post almost every single day. And make sure to come check in with us on the Apple Podcast platforms and, of course, all the other audio platforms, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, wherever you can get your audio shows, you can find the Innersleeve Music Podcast. So make sure to come say hello, drop us a 5-star review, and we'll look forward to connecting with you guys there. Thanks so much for tuning into this brand new episode of the show. We'll catch you guys next time.